Hey, this is Susan Pryor. So we were discussing what clients might be in a good position to go ahead and move on and upgrade to the house that they want. Several of our clients who have 3% interest rates have expressed frustration with the fact that they would really like to live in a different neighborhood. They would like a different commute. They've changed jobs and they'd like to be closer to their office. Or they had a child and they'd like another bedroom. They want that beautiful pool, but they don't really want to build it. So could they buy a house with a beautiful pool? So do you really have that 3% interest rate? One of the things is that people think that housing prices are going to go down. Now, I will tell you, housing prices are not going to go down. We have underbuilt in our market for several decades now. There's a ton of pressure on housing. There's still extraordinarily little inventory, and housing prices aren't going to go down. But while interest rates are high, there are going to be some opportunities. There are going to be some folks who really need to move, who are willing to take a price decrease on a 1Z, 2Z situation. So we want our clients who would like to be in a different home to at least get pre-qualified and get ready and at least look so that if that perfect house comes on the market, you're positioned to execute. Because you know what's going to happen is that rates are going to go down, and tons of people have been on the sidelines for the last 18 months. When rates go down, then all of those people are going to flood into the market, and it's going to cause a feeding frenzy again. And I don't know if you were in the market before a few years ago, but everybody had to pay cash for everything. People were offering $100,000 over a purchase price. You saw like 40 offers on a house. So right now, there's still multiple offers on a house, but you might be competing with one or two folks instead of competing with 40 other folks. Just because interest rates are high, if you happen to be somebody who has bought a car or has accumulated some credit card debt since you bought your home, it still might be a good time to buy. Because one of the things that's happened over the last few years is that housing prices have gone up pretty significantly in the last 5 years. So if you bought a house in your 300s 5 years ago, it could be in the 500s now. So you're probably sitting on a really big equity position. So the good news is you have a big equity position. The bad news is that car payments have more than doubled in the last 5 years. The average car payment right now is $800 a month. Credit card companies are charging 29%. The average credit card rate right now is 22%. So if you're someone who has accumulated monthly payments, you might be in a really good position to purchase a house, use some of your home equity to pay off your debts, and actually end up with a lower monthly cash flow in the short term. Then you get to buy the house that you want. You get to buy it in a less competitive market. And then when interest rates go down, you get to refinance into that. I expect rates will end up in the 5s. Right now, they're in the 7s. So I think it might be an opportunity right now for folks to take a look at their financial situation and determine if it might be the right time to go ahead and buy that house that you're interested in. This is a client who bought a house 5 years ago, and the value has increased to $448,000, and that gives them $248,000 in house appreciation. The question is, could they move to a $500,000 house and be in a better position? So this is what we want to look at. The current interest rate on their house is 3.25%. If they were to buy a house right now, they would probably be looking at about 7.5% as the interest rate. So let's look at the numbers for them. Their current home has a $200,000 loan balance. They have $248,000 in equity. If they sell this house, they're going to have to pay the real estate commission and the closing costs to sell their house. So if they sold their house, they would free up about $220,000 in equity. So what could we do with that? Well, in this particular case, this borrower has a Visa card that has a $16,000 balance, and they're paying $659 a month. They also have a car loan that's $36,000, that's $759 a month. So in addition to their house payment, which is only $950, they're also paying $1,400 a month in monthly bills. So our plan is to sell this house, take this $221,000, pay off their debt of $52,000, and then put the rest down on a new home. So if they want to buy a $500,000 house, they'll have a new loan balance of $322,000. They'll still have a nice equity position in the home. So their current house payment is $979. Their new house payment's going all the way up to $2,251. But they no longer have this $759 and $659 monthly payments. So as a result, the overall cash flow, once we pay off their two debts and put them into their new house, which is exactly what they wanted, they'll end up actually saving a few dollars every month, and they no longer have those debts. And then they get to live in that house, they get to buy it when the price of the market is stable, and they really don't have any cash flow change. They get to be in their new house for exactly the same cash flow change. Now, we fully expect that interest rates are going to be in the fives in the next 18 months. So they're going to have an opportunity to refinance when those rates go down. And so that if we drop their rate to 5.5%, then their payment's going to go from $2,700 a month to $1,800 a month. And so that's a $900 a month savings that they're going to get once we're able to refinance them. So think about, in an 18-month span, they will be in the house they want to be in. They'll have all of their consumer debt paid off, and their monthly mortgage payment will be $1,800, and the $1,828 is what I've got. Monthly cash flow wise, in 18 months, they'd actually be to the better of about $900. I know that's a bit complicated, but the point being that if we sell your current home, pay off all your debts, and then put you into a new home, your current cash flow might be almost exactly the same. And then once you're able to refinance, you're going to be in a much better financial situation. So one of the things people say is it a stupid time to buy a house? If everybody says it's a stupid time to buy a house, it's probably a good time to buy a house. And so if you are someone who carries any monthly obligations like a car payment or a credit card payment, you really might be better off going ahead and moving into the house that you want. So it's an 18-month strategy, debt consolidation strategy that puts you into the home that you want to be in. This is actually a little bit of a different client. This client currently has a $530,000 house that they own. They bought that house for $300,000 5 or 6 years ago, and the value's gone up dramatically. And they want to buy a $625,000 house. But this client has more debt. So let's look at their debts. They have 2 car payments, and they have a Discover card and a Visa card. So their overall monthly payments for their 2 credit cards and their 2 vehicle loans is $2,900 a month. So that's $85,000 in debt. Well, and that's the bad news, right? The good news is that their house has appreciated dramatically in the last 5 years. So they have almost $300,000 in equity in their home. So what we're looking to do is, once they sell their house, they're going to have some costs to sell their house. They're going to have about $260,000 left over when they sell their home. So we're going to take that $260,000. We're going to pay off the $85,000 in debt and put the remaining down on a $625,000 house. Their mortgage is going to be about $450,000. In this particular case, when we pay off their $2,900 in payments, they're actually going to be saving $800 a month, $809 a month. So you can see their house payment goes from $1,132 to $3,153, but they get rid of their credit card payments and their car payments. And as a result, they today move from a $530,000 house to a $625,000 house, and they're going to increase their monthly cash flow by $800 a month. Now, once I am able to refinance them into a 5.5% mortgage in 18 months, then they're going to save another $1,200. Their payment is going to go to $2,560 a month, and they're going to save $2,000 a month over their current overall cash flow. So in this particular situation, this is an 18-month strategy to get them into the house that they love, that they wanted to move into, and to decrease their overall cash flow by $2,000 a month. So the net of it is that if you're somebody who doesn't have any debt at all, then it's a harder conversation to have to whether or not you want to go ahead and move on to your next home. But if you're somebody who's carrying some debt, then you might be the perfect person to go ahead and execute this strategy in the current environment. And if you have any debt, I'm happy to take you through this strategy for yourself so you can determine if it might be financially advantageous to go ahead and do that move that you want to do anyway. It's not a strategy to move if you don't want to move, but a lot of folks are waiting because they have that 3% interest rate. The other side of the equation is you're sitting on a ton of equity, so it might be a really good time to look at what I call a cash out purchase. Let me know if you have any questions. Susan Pryor, Benchmark Mortgage.